Hello, welcome back to these channels. If you are new to these channels, I welcome you. I am Virginie, interior designer, and I deal with houses that represent 100% who has to live them, from consulting to the entire renovation process. I also help foreigners who want to buy and renovate in Italy to support them all the process long. Difficult otherwise to follow from a distance. Today, I'd like to talk with you about inspiration from images to furnish your home, because this could be a big problem for you. But before we get started, if you love everything related to home and renovations topic, remember to subscribe to my channel for more information on this subject. When you decide to put up a house, or when you want to give a new look to a room, you often get inspiration from images you can find on the internet, on the various social networks and dedicated portals, or for the most passionate, on sector magazines. Did you do it too? I believe I can assume that yes, you did. Being enchanted by these beautiful images is really easy, isn't it? However, it could become a problem for you if, to furnish your home, you decide to copy exactly these environments. When you see a picture of a beautiful room which attracts you, you may think, what a beautiful room, I would like mine like this. It is absolutely normal. But before going in search of all the elements, stop for a moment and think if it's really the right thing for you and your needs and your way of being, because otherwise it will be a disaster. Let me explain why. There are some aspects you need to consider when you want to copy a specific setting. Is it the room as big as yours? Does it have the windows and doors with identical dimensions and above all in the same places? Is it exposed in the same way? Because if not, its reproduction would not have the same result. For example, with different lights, the same furniture could completely change the mood. Maybe due to the available portions of walls or electrical sockets, you have to arrange the furniture differently. This too completely distorts the final result. You also have to know that the pictures you see are of prepared, set-up environment to make it more attractive. This happens also in habitat houses. There is nothing of the personal things of the people who live here. In fact, I imagine that you've never seen private photographs in these images. Am I right? And so, doing this, preparing the environment, the settings become somewhat ethereal. In addition to being depersonalized, furniture is also often moved and placed functionally for the shooting, but is not necessarily functional for everyday life. But the most important thing of all is why and for whom was that environment thought? Certainly not for you. As much as the person for whom that room has been furnished may be similar to you, he will never be fully. There is no one person like another. You are unique and inimitable. You have special needs that are not the same as those of another. And what does this involve? Although aesthetically the environment can almost come close to your tastes, it may not be functional for your way of life. Indeed, I can say with certain degree of certainty that it will not be functional for you at all. If you have a nice house but not a functional one, you won't feel at ease. You will not be able to relax 100%. There will always be that thing you don't know what it is, that you can't explain, but that is there and bothers you a little. You will begin to see other images and to think, oh, how nice, of course, I could also have done in this other way. And maybe after some time, you will feel you would like to change something once again. I confess to you one thing. I've done the same for my first house. I fell in love with the furniture shop setting and I copied it. So I bought 2 white sofas, a rectangular coffee table, an extendable table with 6 chairs that were covered like the sofa. Arrived at home, however, the 2 sofas could not be placed at an angle as in the shop because I did not have enough space. So I put one in front of the other, beautiful, but not really as I wanted. The worst thing was that they were white. Spectacular to see, beautiful really, but for one who hit always on the sofa was not really the best. No, they get dirty just looking at them. And so let's go with some sofa covers. But then you are always there to fix them. For not talking about chairs, they have turned gray in no time. Aesthetically, despite the compromise of the different position of the sofas, I enough loved the room, but for an internal racing one like me, to always say those sofas cover was not very functional. You have no idea of the times that I thought I've been a fool for not having thought well. I didn't dwell on my needs, on my way of being and leaving the house, but only on the aesthetic factor. Furnishing is not only an aesthetic factor, but it is something deeper. It must be functional, not only to the life you do, whether or not you are so much at home, for example, but to your way of being. There is so much psychology behind a well-made furnishing project. It is not limited only on the distribution of the furniture. If it was in a condominium, for example, where the apartments are the same, they would all be furnishing in the same way. Styles would change, but the rest would be positioned in the same way. Instead, there is no one equal to another. Of course, your instincts will guide you through this process. But due to the hectic life we are forced to live, it can happen that we don't listen to ourselves enough. And therefore, it is easier to imitate settings that please our eyes, but often they have nothing to see with us. So if you notice that you are attracted to photographs that portray different styles and environments, stop for a moment. Imagine yourself as much as you can in every place and see the one where you feel more comfortable and better. Then start from there, but as we said, without copying. I recommend to create your perfect nest. And if you need, I'm here. If you loved the video, let me know it with a like or a comment. And if you haven't done yet, remember to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss the next videos. See you soon. Bye.